Hey, it's Inve. Today I've got some exciting news for you. Bloodborne on PC is closer than ever before. I'm going to go through a brief timeline of some of the progress that the users over on the Shad PS4 Discord are posting, with a special surprise at the end for those who choose to stick around. As anyone who's seen my channel before is probably aware, I love emulation, especially when it involves From Software games, and while I usually stick to the PS3 for my funny giant robot game fix, the prospect of Bloodborne in 60 FPS is more than enough to get me to look at a game released within this decade. Barely within this decade. Why did I make that joke? Now I feel... my creaking bones aside, let's get into the progress. Our journey to the center of the console begins on July 1st. Here's our starting line, attempting to open Red Dead Redemption. At this time, the sound doesn't work, the menu text is garbled, and the game crashes before you're able to reach the menu. Despite the crash, the stuff that did load animated smoothly into near 60 FPS, which is very impressive, especially for a new emulator. For those who aren't aware, emulation is hard. In most cases, you need a computer many times more powerful than the device you're trying to emulate. I won't pretend to understand how this one is built, but it's very impressive to see this level of performance this early on, even if it is just pre-menu logos. Moving on to our next milestone, a mere 3 days later, you've probably already seen this clip. For most people, it's what made them aware there is a PS4 emulator in all likelihood. I won't retread the same ground every other YouTuber has about this particular post, but I will take a moment to laugh at the fact that the video is apparently posted to Reddit within half an hour, despite the build not being finished. A blistering 6 days later, not even a week, Romic returns, blessing us with this beautiful footage of Bloodborne at the menu. This may not seem like much to those unfamiliar with emulators, but it is in fact a huge step. The game still has some very obvious display issues and crashes before character creation, however. All the color issues present in the last WIP build appear to be gone, which is a marked improvement as well. Once again, less than a week later, Dark Souls Remastered is booting into the menu, hard crashing just before the character creation screen. This is much more significant than most would expect. While Dark Souls is the oldest of the games, the remaster made a lot of under-the-hood changes that make its code similar to Bloodborne in some ways. While progress on Dark Souls Remastered does not directly translate to progress on Bloodborne, it's a really good sign. For a quick break from the Souls titles, we take a look over at Sonic Mania, which appears to be running fine, if a little bit fast. Yes, I know he's supposed to be fast. While Sonic is running at double speed here thanks to the high frame rate, which he arguably might enjoy, the game looks like it's rendering fine and the audio doesn't sound like it's sped up at all. This is super impressive to me, and while it's still pretty buggy, most of the double speed, I would call that game playable at this point. It might be a challenge run though. And once again, blowing any expectation of speed out of the water, Sonic Mania looks like it's working at normal speed, less than a week later. The speed issues look like they're fixed on this build. And while we're talking about fixes, let's take another look at how Red Dead Redemption is doing. It's only been about a month though, so I'm sure we shouldn't expect too much. Alright, shows me what I know. In less than a month, Red Dead Redemption went from not even getting to the menu to being in-game, albeit with blue people. This level of progress in less than a month is basically unheard of, at least by me, especially across multiple games. The only time I can recall jumps in emulation quality this large coming this quickly was during the release of Tears of the Kingdom, and even then those improvements were largely just for that one game. The speed at which PS4 emulation is improving is genuinely mind-blowing. However, astute viewers might notice there's still a lot of time left in the video, and so things will go further. A day after the Red Dead Redemption clip was posted, user BigOL posted this clip of Tomb Raider Remastered running basically perfectly. This is genuinely insane to me, especially considering that Tomb Raider Remastered is a very recent release. The only issues the poster mentions are the lack of global illumination and snowflakes, as well as the game speed increasing when in the remastered mode. On the 31st, we have a very promising image posted by Indecisive Turtle, what appears to be the first image of Dark Souls Remastered in-game on the PS4 emulator. There are a few small visual errors, the brightness in the room is too high and the focus seems a bit wacky, but for the most part it looks perfect. And not even 24 hours later, Elden Ring's network test was able to get to the main menu. With the insane performance issues that Elden Ring's prone to on PC, in the near future some players may just choose to emulate it. When the PC port can't be fixed, just play the console version on PC, after all. Jokes aside, it is extremely impressive to see titles from the last 10 years booting on this emulator. Again, let's take another detour from Software over to something else entirely. I know this seems like a random tangent into nothing. I promise it's related though. This game relies on a component called AV Player that Bloodborne requires, so seeing the opening scene work fills the soul with hope. Speaking of, let's check back in with Red Dead, though it's been even less time since our last check-in, so I'm sure there's no huge jump in performance or anything. Okay, so I'm wrong twice. Red Dead runs at 60 FPS now. The footage appears to be sped up because 60 FPS support was enabled from the emulator settings and the game hasn't been patched to account for it. This is pretty common and you can see it happening with Sonic earlier in the video as well. With that extremely impressive feat out of the way, let's move on to today, 8:10. This footage was posted today and shows Dark Souls Remastered getting in-game. Even crazier still, the footage shows that before the game crashes, it's running at a solid 60 FPS. I'm genuinely left without words for the speed of this progress, and it gives me massive hope for Bloodborne on PC within the next couple of years. But I did say I had something for people who stuck around until the end, and so here it is. You may be thinking to yourself, what the fuck, man, a black screen? That's my surprise? This sucks. And normally you would be right, a black screen would suck as a surprise. But what's important here is what you can hear, not what you can see. So let's go back and play it one more time. That's right, those footsteps are the footsteps of the hunter, moving for the first time on PC. The secret I've been keeping from you, my viewers, is that Bloodborne has made it in-game on PC for the first time. On August 2nd, 2024, Indecisive Turtle uploaded a video of Bloodborne in-game with the visuals disabled in their emulator settings. While it's a long shot from playable by your average player, this is the first step, and I really hope that we're able to collectively put our PS4s up on the shelf forever once Bloodborne works. With that, I'm done. Please sub if you like the video, and like the video if you want to subscribe. I post about whatever I want, and sometimes you might like it. The info for everyone whose footage was used will be in the description. Please check out their channels.